Okay, this is a doozy. We have somebody. When I heard some of the stuff that this guy was saying on the internet, I was like, we got to bring him into the studio. And it can't be one of these, Zoom interviews or any of this stuff. We've got to get this guy into the studio officially. So that's what we did. So here from Connecticut, which is where he lives, we are going to talk to a guy by the name of David Weiss, also known as, nickname, Flat Earth Dave. That's right, Flat Earth Dave. And he has a presentation. He's going to show us and prove to us that the Earth is flat. And boy, do I have a lot of questions. My wife has even more questions than I do, I feel like. So my wife, Sherry, is going to co-host this. My beautiful wife, lovely wife, Sherry, is going to co-host. I got to say those things. So, yeah, don't want to forget to say that stuff. Is going to co-host this episode with me, and she brought with her a globe for David, for Flat Earth Dave, because we got questions. So let's get into this. This is going to be a good one.
From the farm that Johnny Cash called the center of the universe, this is the Jack Vale Podcast.
I like Willie and I like Waylon. You want me to ride? You gotta play some George Jones and Conway Twitty. Just keep it country cause I'm hillbilly. Like a little bit of hip-hop and give me some man named Black. You can kiss my cash.
I am really excited to be here today because I get fascinated by really interesting things. And we started watching these videos. This guy, his name is David Weiss, who's with us today. And he's also known as Flat Earth Dave. Thank you for coming today.
Thanks for having me. I guess I picked that name by default and because it triggers people a little bit and I want to get their attention. So
yeah. You embrace that name?
I embrace it. A lot of people in the movement, in the True Earth movement or the Level Earth movement, they tend to shy away from it. I embrace it and I'm trying to own it because first, the Earth is not flat. It's a topographical plane with hills and valleys. It's level. It's horizontal. Water proves that. And a great way to describe that is flat.
I gotcha. Okay, so
circular too.
It very well could be circular. I believe it is.
She's been watching some videos too. I'm here with my lovely co-host, Sherry Vale. My wife is with me today because she was fascinated by all of the stuff that we've been learning too. And why are you sitting in my chair? Because this is only the second time so far that anybody has ever sat in that chair. Go ahead and say it. You can say it. Why are you sitting in my chair and not on this couch?
Because your wife is so good looking.
No, that's
I
not
just
why.
need that to help me look better.
That's not why.
Because
you don't like my couch.
No, your couch is fine. It's just because we were talking about showing some images.
I know there was that, but then when you first sat down, you were like, oh, I saw the way you were moving around, trying to get comfortable and stuff like that.
I think you're making up stories.
Oh my gosh,
Typical globalist.
John Schneider was here, would not have anything to do with his couch, and to the point where I let him have that chair. He was the first person, and the first thing he said when we started filming was, "Your couch sucks," and then he wouldn't shut up about it. Remember, he kept going on and on about the couch. But eventually, I don't know. That's really going to be sad news. I like the way that it looks aesthetically. I think it's a cool
the couch is fine.
I'm just worried about
you have. I think another little pillow or something would be better.
Some more support. We've been talking about that for a long time.
I think it's fine.
Anyway,
welcome to the podcast.
Welcome to the podcast, everybody.
I know. Yeah, thanks for doing this. I'm really fascinated by all of this stuff. I do have one question for you. I noticed that because I was doing research and looking for every podcast that I could find you in. I don't think, there's a lot, but I don't think I've ever found you in one in this kind of a setting. I mean, I know we're at a unique spot, but in studio, in person, I don't think I've seen that. All the ones that I've seen have been like Zooms or Skypes or something like that.
Since 2014, when I discovered Flat Earth, I haven't done an in-studio podcast. I used to do in-studio podcasts when I was doing Deep Inside the Rabbit Hole podcast in New York City. But with Zoom, it's so much easier to present and show graphics. We can have a great conversation. I can show people that we don't live on a globe just by having a conversation. But the graphics, the videos, the imagery really helps. So, in studio, this is fantastic. We've got my iPad here. We're going to pull up some images and show you stuff when need be. And I think we're going to have a good time.
Okay, that's cool. Are you, you say it in a very confident manner. Like, I noticed that when you were just telling me that, you made the statement, I think, something like, I can show that the Earth is not a globe. Like, you say it as it's a matter of fact.
It is a matter of fact. And flat earthers, there's flat earthers. Some people believe that we live in this dome and there's nothing else.
Okay.
Myself, I believe that there's more beyond the shoreline that we call Antarctica.
Okay.
I believe that there's more beyond there. And we can have these conversations all day, but until we get access to explore these areas, I don't know if we'll ever know. But I can completely prove to you that we don't live on a spinning ball, and every flat earther has come to that final conclusion. So I can prove to you that it's not a globe. And then you say, well, where's your model? We actually have a model, and we'll go over that today. But I don't have to replace it. Like, let's say Sherry is being accused of stealing the last cookie from the cookie jar, right? And we know that Sherry every day comes home and has one cookie every single day. And she left this morning, there was one cookie left. And then the last cookie was gone, right? So she's been accused of stealing the cookie from the cookie jar. But somehow I have absolute proof that she was actually at the mall. And didn't come home that day, and the cookie's gone. So we've 100% proved that she didn't steal a cookie. Then you can't go to me and go, well, then who did? She's guilty until she did.
Okay, so it sounds like you're saying that you have 100% proof that the Earth is not a globe or spinning or
100%.
Okay, so it turns out I did some research too. About your past. No, I'm just playing.
Oh boy.
No, I did some research too and found out there are way more people out there than I ever thought that there was who believe what you just said. And I started to say, hey, I got this guy coming. I started telling random people, and they shocked me by like, oh yeah, I already know this stuff. And then she has been learning a lot of stuff because there's just a lot of available information that's out there now about it. What's the percentage, do you think, of people out there who believe that the Earth is flat versus that it's a globe?
So like 3 or 4 years ago, they did a survey in Brazil asking people, do you think the Earth is flat, globe, something else? And 11 million people said they don't believe it's a globe. 11 million in Brazil 4 years ago. And it's been growing exponentially since then. This is my app with the Friend Finder. These are just the people here in the United States.
Wow,
that have my app, which I think represent less than 1% of the total flat earther population. And there's just dots on top of dots on top of dots. And it's not just the United States. We can go over to the UK.
Oh, wow.
Totally covered.
Yeah.
Wow. And we even have people in Australia and even one guy at Casey Station in Antarctica.
I was to say, is there anybody in Antarctica?
There's 2 people in Antarctica.
If you were to just guess, what would you think the percentage would be in the U.S.?
That's a great question. We were having that conversation earlier in the car.
Yeah.
I'm being recognized when I'm going all over the place. The last time, not today, when I was on an airplane, the person that sat next to us is like, oh my God, it's Flat Earth Dave. The stewardess is like, I know who you are. And she showed me, she has a private Facebook group with a whole bunch of stewardesses in it that are all flat earthers. And she's showing me the feed. And I'm like, yeah, that's my meme. That's my video. And she's, so I don't know what the percentage is. Is it more than 10%? Is it 5%? Is it 1%? I mean, 1% is a lot of people.
Yeah, right. You know what I think? I think it's 10%.
It could be.
Well, I think it's 10%, but I think there might be a lot of people who think it and they're afraid to say anything about it or something. Because even I did like a little, Twitter X poll, and I said the Earth is flat, and then the other option was the Earth is a globe, and it was exactly, I think, 90-10. I think that's what it was, 90 globe.
Right.
But I've always it's always been a globe to me. We were
all globers. We were all globers.
Yeah, because you know that my whole life. Nobody's ever come to me till I stumbled on these videos. Nobody's ever really said anything otherwise. I've always kind of
We've been programmed to believe it's a globe before we can talk. Our parents put a mobile above us with planets, and we had spaceships on our sheets, and we watched Sesame Street, and they have astronauts on there. And they go to school. They have a globe in the front of the classroom, or at least they used to. And then one of the first worksheets you bring home is the orbits of the sun and the moon and the earth and the planets.
Right.
And I actually remember the sheet, and these kids still get that. So they're indoctrinating, and we're going to get into, by the end, why the lie. Because this is where anyone that's listening to this that hasn't looked into flat Earth, you're going to be like, there's a million proofs of the flat Earth, boats over the horizon, sunsets, seasons, and all of this stuff. And then when we knock each one of them down, showing you what's really going on and how these things actually prove the Earth is flat, you throw your hands up and go, well, why would they lie? What difference does it make? I still have to go to work on Monday. That's what everybody says, because we've been programmed to say that.
Yeah, that's true. I guess that's true. I always think like some of the stuff that I know, how much of it do I know because I looked into it versus just was told it?
Well, belief is the enemy of knowing, as Crow 777 Radio says. Belief is easy. Where do I live? Do you know what state I live in?
Connecticut.
Do you know it or do you believe it?
We believe it because you told us.
Yeah, you told me that you.
So
live
you
in
believe
Connecticut.
it? Why would I lie?
believe it.
Why would I lie?
Yeah, why would you
and
lie?
you booked me out of New York, so I live that's near Connecticut, and so
Yeah,
but
so
belief
I'm
is
assuming.
easy because somebody can tell you something, you can believe it. Now it's time to take a nap, drink a beer, watch some football, do whatever you want. You have no extra work to believe, but to know, you'd have to go. You know what? Let me just make sure he lives in Connecticut, and you'd have to look me up. Maybe you find me on Facebook, maybe you find my friends, and you look up other stuff. You find my high school. Well, now you pretty much know, but maybe all that's fake too. And then you go on eBay, you find my high school yearbook, you buy one, and there I am. With Steve Young in the yearbook.
Found it.
Right?
Yeah.
And there you go. And you found it. Now you know. But knowing takes time and effort. And we've been brought up in this society where no one has any time. And, if you want to become rich, make something that makes people lazier.
Right.
For example, do you cook dinner?
Yes.
Okay. You have to shop. You have to cook. You have to prepare. You have to clean.
Yep.
Yeah.
All that.
Cheap.
What's easier than cooking?
DoorDash.
Well, that you jumped one ahead. Fast food.
Right.
Right? Because you
Yeah.
just go pick it up.
Yeah.
But now, how do do you make people lazier?
Oh, yeah.
DoorDash.
Yeah,
You
bring
don't
it
even
to
have to
you.
get off
Yeah.
your crappy couch.
Exactly.
Right.
See what I did there?
Yeah. I appreciate that. Eventually, I'll replace this couch, I'm sure.
Don't replace it. I love it.
Okay. I like the
Yeah,
I like
I
how
love
it looks. It's all about the looks. All right. So what is it like? Let me make sure that I turn my phone off here because
Because you didn't.
I forgot to do that. What is it like in public when you go out? Is it hard for you to bring up this topic, or you do it with all kinds of confidence?
So now I do it with all kinds of confidence. You picked me up at the airport today. What was I wearing? I had a black hoodie on with giant letters that said "Flat Earther." You can't get any more obvious than that. Now I make a lot of T-shirts that people get that are more subtle. Some of them just said "Level Earth." Or stuff that, because a T-shirt or a sweatshirt is a great way to spark a conversation. People, what do you mean by that? And then the conversation started. Everyone that's a flat earther loves to talk to other people about it because it is life changing once you understand what it is.
I want to find out why. I definitely want to get into why you believe it, how you learned it, and proof and all of that kind of stuff. But it is kind of weird that it seems like people are kind of coming out of the woodwork with this. And yesterday I met somebody here actually who's here at the farm, and he came in and we started talking, and he goes, man, he was checking out the set and everything, and he's like, these are great cameras. He knew all about the equipment. And I told him I had a podcast tomorrow I was excited about, really fascinated with the information. And he goes, who is it? And I said who it was. And he gave me this look, and he got really excited. He goes, oh, it's flat. The earth is flat. And I'm like, oh, I just like that. He was so quick. And I go, let's go outside and talk about this. So we went outside there was a tour going on, Johnny Cash thing. And we went outside and started to talk about it. And he said he had a shirt. He goes, man, if I could come tomorrow, I'd love to come. I have a hoodie that just says the word hoax on it, but the O is a globe. So it's that's one of those subtle ways of kind of saying, what he believed.
One of my shirts is the H is the space station. It looks like an H. The O is a globe. The A is the moon lander, the LEM. And the X is SpaceX, the SpaceX X. And it says hoax.
Yeah.
That's cool.
And that's another great conversation starter. But before I was saying, one thing we all have in common, flat earthers, is where did the thought go? It was really good. It was, I lost the thought.
Oh,
it's
no.
gone. I got zapped.
It's
I got
all right.
zapped. It must be the Wi-Fi in here.
It's, aliens or something.
Twice. I'm trying to remember that point. It'll come back.
Man.
Hey, Chris, if anybody walks through the door, do me a favor and just like make a shh motion so that we don't lose our. Okay. Okay. So you said you've known this or you've known this, right? You know this since 2014?
About 2014, somewhere around there. I'm not great with dates, but 2014, 15.
When did you become kind of like an advocate, like really pursuing this?
So I was doing a podcast called Deep Inside the Rabbit Hole, looking into many deceptions of this world. And, and I was being blown away about how much of a deception this world is. And someone says, hey, this thing was a hoax or this wasn't real. I'd look into it. I said, let me find out what's going on here. Let me look at the actual details and not just listen to what the mainstream news says, who just lies constantly. And then people started sending me flat earth stuff. Hey, Dave, have you looked into flat earth? The first email I got, I was like, that's stupid. And I just immediately, I thought the guy was just being funny.
And at that time, why did you think it was stupid?
Because everyone thinks, come on, we all know we live on a globe. It's one of the first things we learn. Interesting. It's one of the first things we learn. And I remember my point. Everyone looks back and goes, how the heck did we ever believe in the globe? Once you understand what it is, if globers knew 1/10 of what flat earthers know about their globe model, they would be flat earthers. Because people that believe in the globe don't even know what the globe model is. And when you look at it, you're like, that doesn't make any sense. The earth is flat.
But they assume that it doesn't make sense because they don't have the intelligence to understand like the scientists do.
That's
right?
the fallacy of appealing to authority. You think that someone that has a degree is more qualified to tell you what common sense tells you, right? If someone has a degree, you know why they have a degree? Because they're fantastic at reading and memorizing and regurgitating what they're told. They become good little memorizers and order followers.
Correct.
Do they also, like, if they're going to go to college or whatever and get a degree, are they also doing research to search for themselves? Or
no,
not?
because if you question what's in the textbook, you fail. You have to memorize and regurgitate what they tell you. So, people say, what about peer review? We've talked to some scientists and they're like, oh, they don't do peer review. If there's something that goes against the mainstream, they don't look at it because it could discredit all of the work that's been done. They will not look at it. What's that?
Same thing with medicine.
In allopathic medicine, that's a whole nother podcast.
Yep.
It's absolute insanity what people will believe. So back to your question, where were we going? We were going, why? Oh, so Deep Inside the Rabbit Hole, and I was getting emails more and more coming in. Hey, Dave, just watch this video. Delete. I don't have time for your nonsense. Then I said, you know what? Ban for life. I came up with the term ban for life because if you're going to ask me to watch a flat earth video, you can no longer comment on our videos. I don't even want you listening to our podcast anymore. You need to go get a mental check because earth is not flat. And that was my attitude. And then one day, a researcher I trust very much, Sophia Smallstorm, she did some great documentaries. I was talking to her about some crazy hoax that was going on, and I just said to her, I said, at the end of our 2-hour conversation, I said, the world is filled with so much deception. It's mind-blowing. I was having this overwhelming feeling. And she goes, oh, David, it's worse than that. I think the earth might be flat. And I couldn't I'm like, are you kidding
Here we
me?
go.
And by the way, she was a long talker. While she was talking, I'm literally on Facebook deleting, banning people for asking about flat earth while she's telling me. And then she tells me that, and she goes, here, watch these videos. Now, I don't watch a video and say the earth is flat. You have to verify all things. But a video well done can show you some things that maybe you never knew was there. That can show you some doors that have been hidden from you. And so she sent me Mark Sargent's clues. He did a series of clues because Mark Sargent, when he first heard about flat earth, he's like, no, it can't be. And so he made a series of 5-10 minute videos, a whole bunch of short videos, 5 or 10 minutes, that were asking questions. He figured some PhD, some scientists would come back and go, oh, this is why, right? And nobody came back. And he made more and more. I think he made 13 or 17 of them, and no one came back with an answer on any of them. And that's where it really started. So one of the things that got me was boats going over the horizon, because that's the first thing everyone jumps to. I see boats, they disappear from the bottom up. And I went back and examined the video that they showed us in school of the 3-masted ship disappearing over the horizon. And what I noticed is every time they cut the film, the camera was lowered. The camera was lowered. And the lower you lower the camera, and then the boat disappears. And also I noticed that the water it was a stormy day. There was like 5 to 10 foot swells out there.
Okay.
So a 2-foot wave can block an entire city skyline in the distance. If the 2-foot wave is halfway to the city that is tiny in the distance, that wave will block your apparent horizon, and it'll create an apparent horizon, and the whole city will disappear below it.
Huh.
Because it's getting smaller as it goes away. So I live on the water my whole life, same town, and I went out and I spent $1,000. I got a super zoom camera, a P900 at the time. It had just come out. And got a tripod, went down. I lucked out because many days you can't see things because of atmospheric condition, because of water, because of humidity. But I went down. It was a cool, crisp, and super unusually clear and calm day. And I sat down at the water's edge. I had the camera maybe 2 feet off the water, and I zoomed in on a buoy that's over 10 miles away, just under 11 miles away. So I rounded down to 10, give the globe the benefit of the doubt. I went on the Globe Earth curve calculator, and there should be 66 feet of curvature. Now, 66 feet of curvature, what does that mean? That means it's behind a physical curve. A ball has a physical curve.
Right.
And I said, well, that must be wrong. The curvature calculator must be wrong. So I went to the debunking sites trying to prove the globe. I want to prove the globe. I'm like, the earth can't be flat. And there's this one crazy one that says, well, it doesn't work that way. You got the ball, and so you're here, and your object's here, so it's only half of that height. You're not at the top, and then they're down here. You're here, and it goes like that, which is stupid. But I said, okay, 33 feet of curvature.
Why is that stupid?
Because that's not how we would see. You wouldn't see up and down.
Right.
You're at the top, and then the earth is just dropping away. If you were laying on the ground with your eyeball literally a quarter of an inch off the ground, you couldn't see far at all.
Oh, I see.
1 foot off the ground, according to Globe Math, the horizon should only be 1.2 miles away. Standing up, a 6-foot-tall person on a perfectly clear day, perfectly calm water, the horizon should be 3 miles away. Because at 3 miles, according to Globe Math, not flat Earth math, there should be 6 feet of drop. So 6 feet of drop means there's your curve. You no longer can see the surface of the water. I could still see that buoy. 33 feet of curvature, 66 feet of curvature should be blocking it. I can still see it. I can zoom across on a nice clear day, and I can see people playing on the beach 7-8 miles away.
So then what's happening in those experiments where they look out and see the boat and they see it going down?
So very good. It is all due to perspective, right? The things, everything, the sky ramps down and the ground ramps up, and everything goes to your eye level. Things from the side, they all go to the vanishing point, like we were taught in our art class.
Uh-huh.
And so imagine yourself standing next to you're on a flat, you're on a farm, and a quarter of a mile away, there's a 5,000 foot mountain. Just, wow. Look at the top of that mountain. It's 5,000 feet over my eye line.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So now the sun is directly above you. It's noon, and the sun is going away, and it goes beyond the top of the mountain. Just like if you're standing in New York City next to a tall building, and the sun's above you, and a little while later the sun moves beyond the building, you can't see the sun anymore. You know it's not below the horizon.
Mm-hmm.
It just went beyond the building.
Right.
The sun just went beyond the mountain.
Right.
Now, how could I see the sun again? I could float up in the sky and see it, or I can go backwards through all the farmland, and that mountain will get smaller and smaller and smaller, and then I'll be able to see the sun again.
Oh, I see.
Right?
Okay. Yeah.
If I literally snap my fingers and I'm 10 miles away from that mountain, the top of that mountain that's up there is now going to be at my eye level. It's going to appear to be my horizon.
Right. Yeah. Okay.
All right. So the sun will go away, and it's not going down because we're falling over backwards faster than the speed of sound, which you'll have to believe if you live on a ball. Like when you watch the sunset, is the sun moving away just as you see, or are you on a ball falling over backwards faster than the speed of sound, making the sun appear to go down?
Hmm.
So That's so stick with me. You got these mountains in the distance.
Mm-hmm.
It's creating a horizon line that's at your eye level, but it's really thousands of feet above your eye level. Above the mountain, you have the atmospheric deck. Let's pretend there's a whole bunch of cumulus clouds. All of those clouds, the ones above you, are 10,000 feet in the air, but they'll also merge into that same line in the distance. And the sun is above the clouds. So now the sun is just going beyond the clouds, beyond the mountain, and you see it disappear from the bottom up. Same thing with boats. On the water, you have waves and you have the thickest atmospheric density. The boats are just disappearing. On my app, there's a Boats Over the Horizon section. You'll see all the videos that we've all recorded them for you. So you can go out and do them yourself, but we've already recorded them for you. You'll see how things disappear. And sometimes when the conditions are right, you can watch a boat disappear from the bottom up. It's gone, and you could say it's over the Earth curve, but then you could zoom in and bring the whole boat back again. And that has to do with the angular resolution limits of our eyes. We can only see something, a certain thing. So if I had a lock of your hair, give me a lock of her hair. Oh, never mind. Don't do it. So if I held a lock of her hair right here, could you see it? Probably. Yes. But if I moved it 50 yards away, could you see it?
Nah.
No, its angular size is too small.
Mm-hmm.
And so these boats become too small for you to see, but then you can zoom them back in again. Right? Because that's a terrestrial object from a terrestrial point of view.
Okay.
Just last thing, the sun is a celestial object. So it's going beyond its horizon, beyond the clouds, beyond the mountains, beyond the atmospheric deck of opacity, I call it. You can't zoom it back in because it's above another layer. Where does the sun go is all you have to remember.
Yeah, where does the sun go?
Yeah, where does the sun go?
Where does it go?
It goes beyond the mountains, beyond the atmospheric deck.
Yeah. She's going to be better for a lot of these questions. I'm not very smart. You're going to ask me questions. Where does the sun go? I'm going to go, I don't know. I have no idea. It goes away. It gets dark at night, and that's all I know.
Yeah. Well, it goes away like a local light. Imagine yourself in a big, giant gymnasium or a big dark room, giant room. All the lights are out, and you have a light, just a
flashlight.
It's just a light bulb, whatever, and you hold it a couple feet over the floor on one side of the gym. It's going to light up just an area,
just a little area, right?
And the whole other side of the room is going to be dark. It's going to be dark.
Right.
Now that's without any atmosphere blocking it.
But from the other side of the room, you'll be able to still probably see that little.
You will, but the thing is, when things go beyond, a celestial object moves beyond, you will see it. It'll look like it disappears because it's going beyond that horizon. So I'm going to just show you right here. This is This is my flat Earth kitchen.
Flat Earth counter.
And what's a flat Earth kitchen?
This is my flat Earth kitchen. So I got this line here, and that's the path of the sun.
I have my
with me
camera.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
filming,
and I'm filming along the path of the sun. So now I'm just going to jump forward a little bit, and I prove that the line is level. And I'm just going to jump forward a little bit here. And I'm going to run this light forward. Might want to edit a little bit of this out, but give me a second here. So now I'm running this light across the line.
Okay.
I'm going to run the light across the line. Sorry about that, guys.
Okay.
So here I am running the light, and from a celestial point of view, and it doesn't go below this. This could be the atmospheric deck or city skyline or mountains. I'm just showing you. Now I got another camera on the other side from where it started on the counter, on the flat Earth counter.
Right.
And when we watch that, you're gonna see how we see things in the sky. It's gonna show you.
Okay.
So here I'm just showing it again here. Let me just jump forward.
Okay.
All right. So here it is from the other side, and as I move away, you're gonna see the line. I'm gonna say, is this line level
to the flat Earth?
It's a level line, but doesn't look like it's going.
It looks like it's going like this.
It looks like it's going down.
Right.
Yeah. It's
And
moving.
we remember it didn't go below that object. It didn't go below it. It just went beyond it. So watch, it's going to go beyond it from our point of view.
Still on
And
the same level
it's
line.
setting from the bottom up there.
Okay.
And that's how that thing is way above the camera, but at a distance it looks like it's at eye level.
Okay.
It looks like it's at eye level. So let me just see if I can fast forward this to. to where we compare it to the actual sun. All right, here we go. So here's a zoom in of it, and you'll see since it starts, it looks like it's setting from the bottom up.
Oh, yeah.
And you perceive that as your eye level, even though it's thousands of feet. Now, this is a real sunset here.
Oh, that's kind of weird.
On the right. So this is my sunset. This is a real sunset. What's it going behind?
It's just going further away. It's not actually going down.
It's going beyond.
Oh, that's pretty weird.
Yeah.
That's actually kind of cool, man.
It's going
Could you guys
beyond.
see that?
That's actually kind of cool. So
In the camera,
yeah,
maybe.
it's pretty cool. So that's going to be implemented into the final, edit, so you can see that diagram. That is, not gonna lie, that's pretty cool. So it's
Did you see it, Jake?
completely straight
Yeah.
line, but the light just kept going further and further away, and it actually gave the illusion that it was going down the way that the sun sets. So if I didn't know what he was doing, I would have just looked at that with my naked eyes, and I would have been like, "It's going down. It's a light that's going down."
It's going,
but
away.
it wasn't. I knew that it wasn't.
So you're on a straight road that has street lights, high street lights, a straight road, and all the street lights are the same height. Stand under one. That is your noontime sun. And then look at the one a block down the road. It's almost at your eye level.
Yeah.
And then imagine that road is 5 miles long. Can you see the lights that are a mile or 2 miles away? No, you can't. Everything just merges into the horizon.
Yeah, all the time.
And that's without the atmosphere. Without the atmosphere becoming that, I call it the atmospheric deck of opacity. So I'm going to show you one more thing. Now now that you learn that, this is going to kind of scare you away from all of that. This is a shot that I got 7 different times, and this is the sun that I'm filming this from altitude. I have a drone up super high. It's super cold.
Okay.
And the sun was going down, 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 and then it just stopped. And it just sat there on the horizon. It just sat there. Now I'm zooming in on it.
Okay.
It sat there for about 10 minutes. Now my friends were over here at the beach. They said they saw the sunset from the bottom up 10 minutes ago.
Oh,
Right?
wow.
But as I'm sitting here, it's just sitting.
Yeah.
It's just sitting there. And then watch what happens. The atmosphere becomes thick over distance. When you're looking across the atmosphere, you're looking through all the atmosphere. And so when the sun is over there, you're looking through all the atmosphere. And as it moves away, its light can no longer push. It can no longer push all the way through. So it disappears and it takes its light with you. And it just goes, and watch what happens.
Disappears.
And it's gone. And now it's still, the light is still there. You just can't see the sun anymore. We're brainwashed into believing that light travels for billions and billions of miles, and those stars that you're looking at burned out 1 billion years ago, but the light's still coming to us, right?
That's pretty weird.
Yeah. And there's I filmed that 7 times, and boy, when I filmed that, the trolls were not happy. They're like, that's CGI, that's this and that. But on my app, on the More Resources page, there's a whole section where that is, and I live streamed it. I did all sorts of stuff. So there's no question that that's actually happening.
Well, I have a question for you. Why do you think people get so irate about it? Like, why is the response so this big over something like this? Because speaking like from my perspective, I really don't care that much. I mean, I care about how I feel about certain things and all of that. But what I mean is when somebody's opinion is different, I think that's fine. I'm not really, but what makes me mad is like when I'm trying to watch a video, I'm trying to look something up, you get warned immediately by everybody. Like, be real careful with what you're about to watch because science has proven this false.
And they never tell you how science proved it false.
Yeah, but the reason that
they don't.
bugs me, though, is because every time I try to look for something, I don't care. Like, if I see something, if I believe something, and science, the doctors, whatever, everybody says this is not at what you believe is not accurate, and here's why, even if they can prove it. I don't. Okay, fine, thank you. Now let me move on from that. I want to believe in aliens or Bigfoot or whatever it is, and we're a free society. We should be able to have these conversations and not be warned about everything. That's what I don't like. I don't like the big authority
you're not warmed about Bigfoot or the Loch Ness Monster or
That's
aliens.
what I'm saying. You're right.
But just
Right.
flat Earth. They did a
Yeah, why?
Well, and
Why-
vaccines
why is that?
too. They warn you about vaccines
Yeah.
too.
They did a there's a congressional hearing a couple of years ago about disinformation on YouTube and what are they going to do about it. And the example that they used was flat Earth. They're like, well, if somebody searched, flat Earth, we're going to show them the Earth is not flat and give them more authoritative, Google selected information. And anytime you find a flat Earth video, that warning is right there. It's unreal. So basically, the way I look at the world, if they tell you not to look somewhere, I look there. When there's an eclipse happening, I look at the eclipse. I don't wear those glasses.
Oh, yeah. I looked at the last one and I'm like, oh,
Fantastic.
my eyes didn't burn up.
Yeah.
And there it is.
There would be a million people
you looked at the
blinded during
sun?
every eclipse.
You looked
I
at the
did.
sun?
I looked at it. And,
Absolutely.
then
the eclipse.
and I
Yeah.
took a picture of it, and there's a little sliver of the moon that
Yeah.
you could see too in
Well,
my
that's
photo.
another question. Is it really the moon?
So you're saying they don't want you to look at it because you're going to find out the truth.
You're going to learn something. You're going to learn that you're not on a globe. And I
not
actually
gonna
think
s-
that there's all sorts of information coming down. It's wild. I
wow.
stared at an eclipse. My eyesight got better.
Uh-huh.
Now, don't listen, people.
Yeah.
You can hurt your eyes by looking at the sun unless you're practice sun gazing.
Right.
Don't look at it. If your eyes hurt, it's telling you something, look away.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
if they
Chris,
don't hurt, feel free.
Chris over there sent me a video a long time ago about, remember, Chris, that thing you sent about looking at the sun?
Some people believe that sun gazing can cure.
Yeah. So I've seen that before.
Well,
And
I'm
it
a case in
can.
point.
Yes.
I watched the eclipse for an hour and a half. And you know what's funny? My wife and I are sitting there, we're staring at the eclipse, and there's this other woman. She's on the beach, and she's got her mirrored sunglasses on the ground, and she's got her iPhone, and she's going like this. and I'm like, what are you doing? And she goes, well, I'm trying to film the eclipse without looking at it, and I'm afraid to look at my iPhone screen
no.
because the picture of the iPhone screen, she was afraid it was going to. And I look at her,
Oh,
and
wow.
I go, do you see the two of us just sitting here staring at the
Looking at
eclipse
it?
for the last hour and a half?
That's funny.
And she's like, she just short circuited. It was
That's funny.
It was pretty funny.
It is funny.
Eclipse is a whole nother thing, and eclipses actually prove that the Earth is flat. But that's the whole thing. You were asking me another question, and I lost it.
Oh, yes.
I was just bringing up the thing about the sun.
Why do you think that people get so mad?
Yeah, why? What is it about that? Like, who cares? And here's another reason why I say that specifically is like in doing very, very basic, simple research, you find that it's only been for like the past several decades or so that everyone's collectively felt a certain way, most people, about this issue. Whereas before, it was Chris is over here disagreeing, making hand signs. It is true.
It's not true.
What do you
I'm
think?
not saying that it didn't agree. It didn't exist.
Most of ancient Greeks, 500 years before Jesus, started to believe that it was a globe.
Do you believe that, Dave?
Okay, Chris just said 500 years before Jesus, some of the ancient Greeks believed that the Earth
Was a globe.
was a globe. That's what you're telling
I
me?
really want to hear his opinion. Like, I want to hear it.
You want to hear him
Yeah.
comment on that? Okay. And how do you know? How do you get this information? How did you know that? How did you research that?
What books?
What are they?
What books,
Who are
Chris?
the authors? When were they? Like what book?
You can make the same argument off the Bible. I believe in the Bible.
Uh-huh.
Okay, it was written thousands of years ago. So we're like it was taken down about Aristotle and Eratosthenes,
Right.
whatever his name is.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so Eratosthenes. So let's talk about Eratosthenes. So 2,000 years ago, there was a mathematician named Eratosthenes that looked down a well one day, and he saw the reflection of the sun, and he deduced that the sun was directly above him. Great deduction. I'll agree. And then he said, you know what? I bet we can figure out how big the globe is if I send my buddy 500 miles away. 500 miles away. Not 5,000, 500 miles away, and we could see how much the Earth is tilted, and I can do some really good math. So he sent his buddy 500 miles away, and his buddy counted his paces. That's how he knew he went 500 miles back then. He actually counted
Really? Wow.
for 500 miles. That's amazing. Imagine
that
being
is
halfway
amazing.
there and going, oh, what number was I on? Damn it.
No, man. That's
So he gets there, and I don't think they had cell phones, and I think they had a long line and a cup where they would talk to, hey, I'm there. Okay. And luckily the weather cooperated, so the sun was out for both of them. And he put a stick up, and he measured that. Then Eratosthenes put a stick up, and Eratosthenes had no shadow,
Yeah.
and he had a shadow. And he did some really good calculus, and figured out the diameter, the radius of the Earth. Absolutely, because he figured out the math is actually good math. So here's his experiment. Eratosthenes here. He's got no shadow. The sun rays also come in because the sun is what they call infinitely far. All the rays come in straight. That's what we're taught. All the rays come in straight, although no one's ever seen straight rays. But here he is. He's got no shadow. Here's his buddy. He measures the shadow and figures out the radius of the Earth. Awesome.
Okay.
So the other problem is Eratosthenes at that time, they were geocentric. They believed that the sun rotated around the Earth. So how could you have an infinitely far sun rotating around a tiny speck Earth? That makes no sense. And the other thing is, nobody has ever seen rays come in straight. They always come in crepuscular.
Oh, no, you're right.
That's what everyone has.
Yeah.
No one has ever seen sun rays come in.
Why are you saying that is?
Well, because this is what it would look like if the sun rays were coming in straight.
We've never seen
No
that
one's ever
before.
seen that. Everyone always sees crepuscular. So
right.
Eratosthenes ignored all that. He's like, well, whether it's refraction or not through the atmosphere, well, then how are you measuring the angle if it's refracting? So, but on a flat Earth, we have a small local sun. So on a flat Earth, here we have a small sun, and here we have no shadow. Over here, we have a shadow. We can do some perfectly good calculus and tell you the sphericity of this flat plane. Go on your desk, put a bottle, two posts, whatever, 2 bottles or can, whatever, lighters, pencil, and put a light over one of them. It doesn't have a shadow. The other one will have a shadow. Use the same math and figure out the sphericity of your desk. Okay? Math is not reality. You can use it to describe whatever thing you've already pre-assumed. He's pre-assuming the globe. So the other problem is Eratosthenes, mathematician, figured out the radius of the Earth. He's Michael Jordan. He is amazing. Well, there's other mathematicians that came out of that same area all through time, and no one ever mentioned his experiment until the mid-1900s. In the middle of when the Rockefellers took over the education system and they came up with the story of Eratosthenes.
Interesting.
Whether he did it or not doesn't matter because it proves nothing, but it's a made-up story.
Really?
Yeah. There's books talking about Eratosthenes, but nothing that mentions his experiment until the mid-1900s.
So I have a question for you. Do you acknowledge that Chris back over there he just made a comment a little while ago? And by the way, the point that I was making, Chris, wasn't that I wasn't going to say that it never existed or the idea never existed. I was just saying that 100 years ago, for example, it wasn't split like it is today. Like 90% of everybody didn't think that a certain way, and 10% thought it was very different. It was more even, wasn't it? Until NASA and all of that stuff, right?
No,
but
that's all social conditioning. So back in 2020,
that's what I mean.
Yeah,
that's what I mean. So 100 years ago, it was more.
100 years ago, everyone knew the Earth was flat. Everybody.
What?
So hang on. So in 2020, I was in an old age home, and I asked the nurse, I said, who is the oldest person here that has their wits about them? And she goes, oh, Ruth, right over there. She's in the lunchroom. 102 years old.
102 years
102.
old.
And I was researching the World's Fairs. Rabbit hole so deep you can dive in head first because you're never going to hit the bottom.
What year was this?
This was
2020.
2020.
Okay.
2020.
Wow. Okay.
Pre-pandemic.
Is Ruth still around? Do you know?
What? Oh,
Is
she,
Ruth-
you know what? I haven't talked to her in about a year. I've been meaning to call her again. I'm hoping she is. So I went over and talked to her about the World's Fairs. Never mentioned anything flat Earth. I was just like being delicate and asked because she had been to the World's Fairs and talked about the lights and the everything. And the first time she saw anything lit up, it was amazing. And I said, and her memory was so good. I go, where did you go to elementary school? And she, teacher, the road, the school, Hamden, Connecticut, told me everything. I could barely remember where, the road that my school was on. And I said,
Wow.
what did they teach you in science class about the Earth? And she says, they taught me the Earth was flat. And I said, can I video record us? And I broke out the camera and I interviewed her and I told her that we are the Earth is flat and why they're lying, and we're going to get into that. And she literally broke down in tears. It was amazing. She was like so happy to find out that we're at the center of creation and not a random speck flying through a scientifically impossible universe. And it literally brought her closer to God. It brought her, she was a Bible believing Christian, and this helped solidify all of her beliefs.
Wow.
And it literally brought her into tears. Just go, if you go on my YouTube channel, DITRH, or on the Flat Earth Sun, Moon, and Zodiac Clock app, and just search 102-year-old, 102. Just search 102-year-old woman, and the video will come up. Watch it, and it got on hundreds of channels. It went super viral.
So could that have been a specific thing for wherever she was raised, whatever school she went to, whatever?
Yeah,
like
public
because
school
it was still
in Connecticut. So so then we went further. We found other people that were talking about in Croatia in the 1930s. They were teaching flat Earth. Some places on Earth they're still teaching it today. I think in Saudi Arabia they still talk about flat Earth. These Arab guys built this incredible physical model of the Earth with the sun and the moon. It's amazing. It's also on my channel. But we found a guy in Mexico who lived in the northern United States, and he said in the 1950s they were teaching globe and flat because they didn't know. They didn't know. In 1927, Universal Pictures started with their spinning globe at the beginning of their movies. A beautiful globe, right? And no one had been to space to figure out the shape. Then when NASA went up, they came out in 1972, the first photo of Earth. It looked exactly like what Universal did. It's just a coincidence, right? Universal is just really good at map making, I think.
Well, Disney did something like that too. Back when Disney started too, they had their little globes, and my uncle was saying how he remembers going to Disneyland and they took him on this ride to show him this is what Earth looks like, and they had no idea at the time.
So
yeah,
I didn't realize that. So you're saying that like 100 years ago, they already had pictures of what the globe looked like. Is it and then when NASA went into outer space to take their pictures, it looked the same as that?
It looked exactly the same as what Universal Pictures had imagined.
What is that? Is that because like maybe this is a dumb question, but could they have believed, like could they have been so smart that they were able to do the math without going into outer space and seeing, like they traveled, right? So you have all these travelers.
Yeah. No,
wait,
sorry.
Because I don't know. I'm asking.
Why he's talking? You grab my phone because the Wi-Fi went off, and I'm trying to pull up a picture while he's talking.
While you're doing that, Chris, question
Just
for
unplug
you.
it.
Is it possible? Because Chris is a very critical thinker, I would say, and he thinks about a lot of this stuff. If there were land travelers, I don't know, whoever you want to think about right now, hundreds of years ago, could they have discovered what the global Earth looks like back then without going in and actually snapping a picture of it or seeing it? Yeah, like an actual globe. Could you? And the maps back then were always flat. The maps back then were always it was a sheet of paper, right? It was a big. So what I'm saying. Right. So, but this is what I'm saying though. What I'm saying is, back then, like the World's Fair, all of that stuff, there was an image of a globe, and this was before NASA. This is before they figured anything out, before they could go anywhere and really explore the actual global Earth, right? So you have a picture of it. These are where this is where everything is positioned, and then NASA goes up. They discover this, and now they're like, "Yep, it's confirmed." And you look at this. Two different pictures, and you're going, oh, these are exactly the same. They knew it way back then before they had the technology to know for sure. And once NASA does have the technology, now they were right. What are the chances of that? Wouldn't that be? So you're saying, what'd you say?
Did they make the globe based on what's his name? Eratosthenes or whatever?
Eratosthenes? No,
Yeah.
that was just
Yeah.
the size.
Yeah.
That was just the size of the Earth. I don't know how they made it, but they made it in Photoshop, that's for sure. So the picture that was on
Who
everyone...
made it in Photoshop?
So Robert Simon, a NASA visual artist. Remember when the iPhones first came out, everyone had the Earth on it.
Yeah.
And that's called the blue marble. This was this picture, but we zoomed in on it, and we could see that they Photoshopped the clouds. You can see the same clouds repeated again and again and again. So he was interviewed. Yeah, you look at
Wait, those are from different. Wait a minute. Those are clouds. Those are clouds.
These are the clouds.
How do you know those are
I'm
clouds?
just zooming into this area. See these clouds on the
Those are
Earth?
clouds on the Earth.
Yeah, I don't know if those are clouds. Okay, those
What
are
do you mean
clouds.
don't know if those are
They
clouds?
look-
Well, they're white.
What else-
I don't know because you're so far away
Whatever
from the
they
Earth.
are,
How could
they're
you see
stepped
those?
and repeated. They're repeating themselves. So if they're land, that's worse.
Yeah.
But they're clouds.
Okay.
Okay. So,
All right.
So
All right.
he
All
did
right.
an interview and he said, yeah, I created it in Photoshop. I was just given strips of data. And I was like, well, there's more plankton in this area. So I made that green. And this is a desert. So I made that brown. And he said he used Command X a lot. And he literally made it in Photoshop. NASA comes out with 8 photos of Earth. Which one do you like? Because 7 of them have to be fake, if not all 8,
Why?
because they're all different.
Okay,
Okay.
but they're different angles.
Well, they're different angles, but they're showing different land. So, for example, the problem I have here is this is the famous shot from 2012, I think, and we
Okay.
can see the United States and Mexico. Where's the rest of the land? So here's the thing: we don't know how big anything is unless we can actually measure it. So we can drive across Mexico and Baja and figure out that it's 934 miles. So they tell us the radius of the Earth is 7,917. So I'd have to be able to fit 8.5 of those red segments in between the radius, which goes right off the page. So
That doesn't make sense.
it doesn't make it. It doesn't make it. You know, that's another wizard trick that they do. They make it so crazy that people go, "That doesn't make any sense." Therefore, I'm going to defer to the experts because I can't figure it out. The reason you can't figure it out is because you can't figure it out because it's stupid. Okay.
Right.
Right? I remember this picture in 2017. They said the global dimming, you know, the pollution. It's
yeah.
horrible. It's horrible,
pollution.
right? And from 1978.
Where are the same clouds? Oh, I see them.
Look at the same
I see 'em,
clouds.
I see them. Look at the bottom one.
They
Look
use
at the
the same
bottom one.
clouds, yeah.
Why would they use the same clouds?
Because either they're lazy or it's revelation of the method, which means they always have to tell us what they're doing and give us a chance to figure it out.
Listen, I'm sorry for being. I don't want to beat a dead horse, but show me that picture one more time. That
Which
you just,
one?
We were looking at the clouds just now.
Right there.
Yeah. So the reason I'm saying I don't know is because I'm trying to imagine myself in a spaceship going so far away from the Earth,
A million miles.
And trying to see
Clouds.
these giant clouds from that far
Thank you.
away.
Absolutely. When we send balloons up to 120,000 feet, 20 miles, the whole Earth is white.
No,
It becomes white.
I know, but Dave, listen to what I'm saying. I'm trying to find out if you're that far away from the Earth. How do you know? You made me feel stupid a minute ago
I'm
for
sorry.
asking this question.
I'm sorry.
but I'm going to ask
and I
it
might
one
do
more.
it again. But go ahead.
I'm going to ask one more time. How do you know that those are clouds? I understand they're white, they're fluffy. I get it, but have
That's
they?
the topography of the Earth.
Look, there's the
babe.
United States.
Yeah, I know.
What are those?
What
So
is
with-
that
What do you think
then?
they are?
So-
Bubbles?
See, you're making me feel stupid again.
Well-
I'm just asking a question.
Well, what would you think?
what would you think
I
they
don't
are?
know because I would think that if you're looking from that far away of a perspective, you would be seeing things that you're not sure what it is. But you're saying you would only see water or land or clouds.
Well, we know that when we send a balloon up, the Earth is muted. The colors are muted because you're looking through so much atmosphere. The colors just become white. We send a balloon up to 120,000 feet. It's just white. You can't really see anything. But
Yeah.
somehow we get these vivid colors in space and all these different sizes and everything.
Because of technology.
They boosted up the colors. I don't know what they're doing. So this is just another one without going. They showed us this picture of Earth, and this is we can look at the land features here, and we say, okay, on a world map, this is just this section of land. That's what we're showing.
Okay,
So you have to believe that all of this other land is on the other side of that ball.
Right.
Hold on, I'm gonna just remember this. We're over here. So the United States and Russia and Australia and New Zealand and South America, it's all on the other side of the ball.
Okay.
Okay.
And
All
they
right.
only have that much, right? Because the Earth is spinning so fast that when they snap their picture,
No,
that's all they could
It's
capture.
moving once a
hold
day,
up,
so you
hold
can't, you can't even see. You can't even see. But
Okay.
But if the Earth is
So
spinning,
then in 2012, the other picture, they showed us this. So now you got the United States. So that's just this. All of this has to be on the other side right now. The reason you can't figure it out is because it's unfigure-outable.
Wait, what?
This is an official picture from NASA. A picture. NASA will never say photograph when they talk about the Earth because they don't want to lie.
Wait, is that the actual size? So that's the size over here of everything else.
This is the size of all the
and
other
that's
things.
the United States?
That's the United States and Mexico.
And so you can see this
I'm
much
showing
of the
you,
ball
I'm showing you what they're showing.
from the angle.
And
There's
all
the
of this
water,
is on the other
there's
side.
the land.
But remember, we had a circle over here
right.
showing the other, and then
There's
all of that
no
was
way
on the
that
other.
could fit.
There's no way. The reason you
Wow.
can't figure it out is
That's
because it's unfigure-outable.
Listen, that's pretty nuts.
Well, no, it's because the Earth is spinning so fast
Can
when
you
they
see this
take their
from over here?
picture. That's all that shows
Yeah.
up. Right?
It goes on.
Dude, I'm gonna stare at that when this is finished and we implement that back into the thing. I'm really gonna look at that more. That's crazy. That's
Right.
really interesting.
Do you have
There's
a question, Nick, or you
And
think
then,
something?
so hang on. So NASA, people will go,
Hey, Nick, come here for a sec. I want you to just see this
Phil, you
real
can
quick.
come
Phil, you
too.
can come too.
Hold on.
You guys come. Yeah,
wait,
no,
don't
go-
ruin my shot.
No,
You're in front of my camera.
No, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it.
I'm
Go-
kidding.
can you
That's
go back
okay.
to the other one?
All right,
this is it.
just
Okay.
why we're here.
Just watch
this
this,
is from
guys.
the space station. You can tell because there's always a little piece in front of the camera. They always do
Of a
that.
shadow.
But if we
Yeah,
look at
yeah,
the
yeah.
at the Earth map and we see that's just that little circle right there. That landmass is just that little circle.
It's not
so
the whole
so
Earth.
that's just that little circle. This is a fisheye lens. This is from an airplane.
So
Yeah.
that's from them.
This is from
who took
NASA.
that shot, supposedly,
Yeah.
right? They took that shot.
Yeah. And then the other one we were just looking at
And
was
what-
was this.
That's
All of
That's
this
insane.
land has to be on the other side of that ball.
that, dude. Come on, that's pretty. Well, not to mention you got all the other more water on the other side of that ball, right?
Yeah.
How would they explain
that would be there.
They don't.
They don't explain it.
They don't explain it.
Okay, but wait a minute. They have to explain it. If you talk to somebody and
No,
you
they
had to
don't.
have talked to people
They
who
don't.
are serious
they won't
Globers.
explain it.
Okay, then what do they say when you say that?
They won't talk to.
Really?
Yeah.
They don't know what to say?
Yeah.
They change the subject?
Who am I going to talk to?
Right.
Well,
Who are you going
you've
to talk
you've
to?
talked to a lot of people
Yeah.
who believe that the Earth is a globe. So that's my
when
question.
they see
How
that,
do you stump them?
they just short circuit and they change the topic. We call it scattering. They scatter
Okay.
to the next thing that they believe proves the globe.
That's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
That is pretty crazy.
Isn't that nuts?
That is really weird.
Yeah.
Are there any astronomers or scientists that believe in a flat Earth?
Oh, Nick just asked a great question. Are there any astronomers or scientists that believe that it's flat?
We have some engineers. We have tons of pilots. So I think that by the end of 2024, all pilots will be flat earthers. You know why? Think about this.
Wait, hold up.
All pilots, all commercial pilots will be flat earthers within 1 year. Mark my words. Okay, let me explain why.
All right, yeah.
Let me explain why.
Yeah.
So let's pretend that you're a flat earther. Let's pretend that you're full on, the earth is flat. You've discovered it and you're like, this is the most amazing thing. And you understand the reason why. And it's literally changing your life. Now you're in a car for 5 hours with a friend who's not a flat earther. What are you going to talk to them about? Weather, football, or flat earth?
Flat Earth.
Yeah.
Flat Earth.
Yeah.
And you're
Yeah.
going to tell him all of this stuff that you've learned, and you're going to have a
Yeah, 'cause
conversation.
it's
By
a
the end of that
that's a
car
big
drive,
topic.
he's going to probably be like, I got to look into this more. Well, there's a ton of pilots that are flat earthers. And when they're in their plane, they take off, they go up, hit cruise control. They got like 10 hours. You know, however long the flight is, their co-pilot, if he's not a flat earther, they're turning them. These pilots are telling me
That's
that
what
they're
they're
doing
talking
this.
about?
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Really?
They're bringing up stuff and showing them. And
Have you talked to some pilots?
I have a dozen in my phone book from major airlines that have been talking with me, and they're quiet about it because they'll be grounded.
Oh.
We interviewed a KLM pilot on Globebusters, and the next day she was grounded, and because she was showing how scientifically, airplanes fly straight and level over the Earth plane. They fly straight and level. They don't nose down to follow a curve. Right, the SR-71, the spy plane, goes 2,300 miles per hour. I think that's the speed. At that speed, right, you're flying over a ball, you have to nose down or you're going to fly off into space, right?
Yeah. Okay. Oh,
Guess
Sorry,
how much they
go
have to
ahead,
nose
finish.
down every second to follow the curve of the Earth if the Earth was a ball the size that they tell us?
8
Every
inches.
second?
6
How far?
inches? 80.
80
inches.
stories.
Oh, wow.
800 feet per second just to follow the curve of the Earth.
you'd feel that,
You would be plastered against the ceiling and dead.
right?
Okay.
So, yeah. So, okay.
But they want
so-
you to believe that gravity is holding you. It's grabbing you. Gravity. I call it gravity.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's what I heard recently was that it automatically the nose tips down because of gravity.
No.
Okay,
It's not
but
true.
Okay.
So
why
what
did
keeps the plane level is a gyro. With the things we played with as kids, it's the 3-axis gyro. So a plane spins up its gyro on the runway, so it's spinning level to the ground. If the plane, so you got your gyro spinning, and if the plane turns, the gyro shows that they're turning because it always stays level. If the plane goes up or down, the gyro will move. The gyro holds rigidity in space regardless of gravity. That's the definition of a gyro. So when you take off from Berlin and fly to Brazil, your gyro should be like that. It should because it's holding its rigidity from the top of the ball, and you're down here, but it doesn't happen. It always lands. It's always level. It's always level. Air plane, not air globe. Sea level, not sea curve. Horizon, the horizontal eye zone is horizontal. It's not the curve eye zone.
Yeah, but how? So yeah, but why wouldn't they change those? Why are those words picked to describe this stuff as opposed to them if they have an agenda?
I
create
think
a new vocabulary.
The English language was long before the globe lie. So and our language is literally the most powerful thing out there. Your intent and your language and your feelings was what create this world, create our reality. So they use words to cast spelling, right? They're casting spells with Hollywood. What wizards use the wood from a holly tree, from the Hollywood. So they're casting spells.
Television,
television,
right?
Yeah. And there's so many. You work all week, and then at the end you're weakened, and so you say good morning. That's good death. And they have all of these words. So you have to be very careful with the words that you use. I'm not so careful sometimes. I do my best. But, as you know, in the car ride, things slip.
Yeah, I heard a couple things.
Yeah, a couple things. But again, it's the intent. People are like, you put 33. You went like that. You 666. It's the intent. 33 is not a bad number, but there are people that use, that's a secret code for the Masons or whatever.
Yeah, because she watches videos all the time and stuff too, so she's always correcting me on like how I talk, and I talk with my hands, so I accidentally I guess flashed the wrong signals or something like that, and she's like, don't do that, don't do that.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I just talk like that. I won't do it right now because I'll do it and they'll freeze frame it and go, he's a white supremacist.
Yeah. So when I told people I was coming to your podcast, they're like, oh, are you sure it's not a hit piece? Because there's so many people trying to do hit pieces. It's crazy.
A hit piece.
And now that I'm here, I'm looking at the floor going, oh my God, black and white checkers. This is a Masonic lodge.
And
are
he's
we
like,
in a
no,
Masonic
it's
lodge
just
or are we in a
50s.
barn?
It's
Right?
Yeah, you said
50s feel.
that when you first got here, and I'm like, geez, we've had this carpet for a long time. I'm so innocent about it. I'm like, 1950s. I like the retro
I think
feel.
it has to do with the duality, and I don't even know.
That's
like,
so weird.
It's a beautiful rug. Whatever.
Yeah,
It's fine.
I didn't even know what you said. I had no idea. I never heard that before.
Go look up anything free Masonic Hall. All of them have checkered floors. So the trolls are going to run with that one, and that proves that I'm a free Masonic shill here, to destroy the truth movement. But whatever, choose whatever you want to believe.
Yeah.
And here's the thing: I love waking people up to this reality because it changed my life. I don't go to work on Monday.
Right.
I had my own business.
Yeah.
I was amazing. I got out of corporate America, started my own business, making tons of money, and I walked away from it all, not for money, but for truth, because I want a future for my kids and for me. And this world is going in a very scary direction because people are lost in space, spinning out of control.
Why do people, like you were talking earlier about how people feel when they start talking about it and they discover that the earth is something different than what they thought it was? Why do they get so happy or at peace or excited and pumped? Like you just said, I asked you on the phone a few days back, I asked you if you ever get tired of talking about this stuff, because I've seen so many Zoom calls that you've done and stuff. And I'm like, I wonder, talk about it over and over and over. Never, huh?
I'm learning new stuff all the time. So, and people like, I know, like people that watch my stuff, they ask a question, they know what I'm going to pull up. The reason I pull up the same thing many times is because these people are new. They need this information.
Right.
Yeah.
But I always try to add new things. But why do people get upset? Nobody likes having their ball taken away. And so you're a child and you're clinging to your ball. right? You're clinging to your ball. One time in a podcast, I said, everybody loves balls, and that was taken in clips.
No.
And that was taken in clips so many times.
That's funny.
But nobody likes having their ball taken away, and nobody likes having the rug ripped out from underneath them. Like if I told you, hey, are your parents alive?
Yeah. Oh, my mom is.
Well, did you know that she's a serial killer? You won't believe me.
Right.
But what if she really was? That would just be horrible. You probably wouldn't even want to look at the information, and because you can't believe it.
Right.
But that's because you're so ingrained that your mom is a loving, wonderful mother and grandmother and great grandmother.
She is.
Okay.
Don't try to make me look old on here, Dave.
And well, it could be a sister. It could be your older sister that made her great grandmother.
That's it.
And so the thing is, though, when you have the ball taken away, you land on a solid foundation. You land on God's creation. You land at the center of creation. And then you find out, I'm not on a speck of dust flying through a scientifically impossible space vacuum, right? Scientifically impossible space vacuum. Well, let's back up because I was kind of going into why the lie. The why the lie is the best question of all. And there's a whole section on my app. You can find it at flatearthdave.com. And it's called Why the Lie. Amazing, amazing, amazing stuff. But space. So space is a vacuum, a void of no pressure. That's what we're told. That's what they tell us, right? Mm-hmm. Everywhere on Earth, in every laboratory, in nature, everywhere, high pressure will go to low pressure and equalize. Always, every time.
Okay.
It's what gases do. So if I had a big lucite box and I sucked all the air out of it and sealed it off. Now I have a vacuum chamber, a chamber of no pressure. If I had a valve on the bottom and I opened it up, what's going to happen?
Gonna fill up.
The air is going to violently fill the available space until it's equalized. If I turned it sideways, it would still do the same thing. If I turned it up, it would go down, right? If I did it at 10,000 feet or 100,000 feet, it would still equalize instantly. Instantly. Air needs a container. Gases need a container to be contained. You can't have air pressure without a container. Now, the global argument is, well, go to top of Everest, the air is thinner, because it gets thinner and thinner and thinner and thinner and thinner until there's no air, and then it's a vacuum. That's their only thing, and gravity's holding it down. Gravity's holding it down. But butterflies can fly, and I can hold my arms up, and
Butterflies
I can jump.
are lighter than...
Butterflies are lighter than what?
I don't know.
Yeah. Are clouds lighter than dry air?
Are clouds lighter than dry air?
They have water in them. They have millions of tons of water in them. How could they be lighter than dry air? Why do they float?
I don't know.
I don't. Yeah.
Density and
by the way,
buoyancy.
listen.
Yeah.
I don't know is a great answer. Globers say they know everything and they know nothing, right? I don't know is a fine answer. We don't know, we have there's a lot of ways to explain why clouds float, why things go down. Buoyancy and density sort everything else out. If I had a handful of rocks and a helium balloon and ping pong balls, and I held them over a pool and opened my hand, everybody can sort out what would happen. The helium balloon would go up because it's less dense than the air. The rocks and the ping pong balls would go down because they're more dense than the air. The rocks would go to the bottom of the pool, and the ping pong balls would stay on top of the water because the ping pong balls are less dense than the water, and the rocks are more dense.
It's because of the density
Buoyancy
of the object.
and density.
Correct.
But what makes things go down? Why don't they go sideways?
Gravity.
Right? Well, that's what they say. But gravity, this is a big one, and this is the one, it's going to take a minute to talk about it. It's worth it. It's not that complicated. Gravity is only a theory. Neil deGrasse Tyson said, hey, Neil, what's gravity? And he goes, we don't know. And the gravity model, when they start looking into planets and everything, they're like, there's not enough gravity out there. It's just 97% of it's missing. Right? So the gravity model doesn't work because 97% of it's missing. So instead of throwing out the theory of gravity, they go, dark matter and dark energy. No one's ever seen it. No one's ever measured it, but it has to be there for gravity to work. So therefore it's there. So you lend me $100. I need $100 right now, and I'll pay you back tomorrow. Tomorrow you see me at the meetup, and I give you $3. I go, we're even. You go, what do you mean? And I go, well, no, there's the $3. There's 97 dark dollars. Okay? All right, it's fine. Trust me, they're there.
Yeah.
Right? Because if you're a scientism believer, that's fine. That's a fine deal. We're even. So here's the thing. You've heard science say that gravity is a very weak force. Very weak force. Okay, I'll buy it. You know what else science says? Is that the electrostatic charge, electrostatic force is 10 to the 36 power stronger than gravity. What is it? You don't even know what that means, right?
No.
10 with 36 zeros.
Yeah.
But you can't
Yeah.
even fathom what that is. And I'm going to explain why you can't fathom it in a second.
Okay.
Well, 10 to the 36 power stronger. So electrostatics is when a negative attracts a positive or vice versa. Well, the Earth is a negative charge. Measurable, testable, scientifically provable negative charge. And everything in the air
It's positive.
is surrounded by positive, and it goes down because the flow of electricity is down to the Earth. So it just sets the direction. And then this is more dense than the air, and it goes down to my hand, and I catch it. 10 to the 36 power stronger than gravity. What does that mean? So do you know how long 1 trillion seconds is?
No.
Take a guess. And if you guess it within a month, I'll give you a Bitcoin. Go ahead.
Chris got it.
Don't do quiet.
1 trillion
Seconds.
seconds.
Yeah.
You want me to tell you how long
How
it is?
long is 1 trillion seconds?
By
it
way
a
of what? Hour?
like
I
you're gonna make it
think
years,
it's
decades,
1
whatever you want.
Isn't it
trillion
like
seconds.
10,000 years or
I'm
something
going to
like
say.
that? I don't know.
He's asking me.
Yeah, I'm asking you.
Okay.
I'm going to say 1 trillion seconds. Let me see. 60. How long do I got to figure this out?
That's
A
it.
month.
Time's up. 3 seconds.
All right.
2 seconds. 1 second.
I'm going to say like 10 years.
Very close. 31,000 years.
Very
Okay.
close. I was closer than you.
So
Is it 31,000 years?
1 trillion seconds is 31,000 years. And here's the thing. You can go verify that yourself instantly. Just do a little calculation. 31,000 years. You can't fathom what 31,000 years is. Here's the
No.
problem. 31,000 years, 1 trillion seconds is 1 trillion is 10 to the 12th power. If I add one more zero on that, it's 1,000 times more than that.
Wow.
Right?
Okay. All right.
Wait. So now I'm going to add 36 zeros. You can't fathom what that is. If I had a 100-pound metal plate and the only thing pulling it down was gravity, which is 10 to the 36 power less powerful than the electrostatic flow, it would float forever. It would never move because there's no force. So
Okay.
that's them telling us that gravity has no force. We can manipulate things to go up and down. I've done it in almost every interview. We can add a negative charge to something, whoosh, and it goes up in the air. It floats. Electrostatics, like the TRC-3B, whatever that spy plane, it floats in the air. It's electrostatics, right? And then we could add a positive charge to something, and it falls down. We have something floating on a helium balloon's got it neutrally buoyant, and we add a positive charge to it, whoosh, it goes down. So we're playing with the electrostatics. We're changing the.
But you can mess with that. You can, if I jump, I'm going to go up. I'm
You're
eventually going to come down.
You're
But
in this positive field.
It doesn't mean that gravity doesn't exist, right?
No, well, if gravity existed, so we can prove the electrostatic force exists. The electrostatic force is 10 to the 36 power stronger than gravity. If I drop something, how would one assume that it's gravity, which
And
doesn't?
not the electron.
Gravity, if the electrostatic force, if gravity made things go down, the electrostatic force, everybody would be dead. We'd all be dead. So when you start wrapping your mind around that and understanding, that gravity is just pseudoscience and the core of the earth is just made up nonsense. And, the idea that when you watch the sunset, you're falling over backwards faster than the speed of sound. No. Go on the app, go to Where Does the Sun Go? There's video after video after video, time lapse after time lapse, stuff that everyone's too bored. Everyone's like too rushing around. You're not going to sit there and examine what's going on in the sky.
Here's the other thing too, though, Dave. I think people are going to assume like, why would they be doing this? Like, I want to get into like the reasoning behind some of this stuff because it doesn't make to most people, including me, like it. You think about it and you go, why? There's so much work to try to create this whole fake world.
Yeah.
Why would anybody do that?
So just a quick thing about me. Before 2014, and for me to say this now is, it's like I look back and like, how could I have ever thought that? But I was a full-on atheist. I didn't believe in God. I didn't believe in a creator. I believed in evolution. Once upon a time, there was nothing. Lightning struck and made an amoeba, and the amoeba turned into a fish, and the fish grew legs, and it climbed out of the water, and it found another sexy fish, and it had a monkey, and then that monkey went up into a tree and had a human.
I can't believe people believe that.
Because that's what we were told before we had the ability to think. That's what we were told before, and we were told by teachers, which are are we look up to them. You know, when you go to school, you think your teacher's your God. You know, is like, wow, I'm going to learn, and that's what they try to do. So I believed all of that, and then when I discovered that the Earth was flat, not the shape, intelligently designed.
Right.
Now I'm an intelligently designed earther, which is level. And I look back and I said, whoa, there's a creator.